Welcome to the channel. This is Geauxgreddy. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to review the Thrustmaster T150. I've got quite a few hours on this wheel. I put a lot of time pulling and turning and twisting on it. So I know it's positive and it's negative. We're going to go through all of those. To answer the question, if you have $200 to spend, you can spend it on a T150. Stick around, find out.
Luckily, I got GT Sport at the same time I got my T150, so I logged the hours here in GT Sport, which is 1,994, as well as 127,661 miles. That is the number of hours and miles on this wheel, and as you can see, it's not looking so hot. The grips have worn through completely and begun to split in half. I have K-tape holding them on. I could use tennis racket tape or baseball bat tape to go around it, and that's probably what I end up doing. And maybe wearing gloves would have helped this, but I don't like to wear gloves with the wheel. As far as the pedals, they still have springiness to them. The throttle pedal is okay, it's fine. The brake pedal is weak, but it was always weak. And now, there's not much to be said for the pedals in the T150. I would say they're below average. The buttons are fine. They work good. The arrangement is good. I could use one more button each on the top left and top right for turn signals, but for what I have, they will do. Other issues with the T150, I had it crack on the top and the bottom of the wheel, because as I rotate it, you'll see one bolt there, then you'll see a screw. Below that is a bolt, and as it goes around, you'll see another screw. So the factory put a screw top and bottom, and that was it. So the wheel rotates on that vertical axis, and it allows me to pull left and pull right on the wheel, which caused the middle part to crack in half. So I drilled a hole there and put those two hex key retaining bolts in there. And since then, the wheel has been absolutely fine. I don't know why Thrustmaster didn't attach it in 4 points to begin with. But as you can see, the grips definitely are beginning to deteriorate, shall we say. So the wheel is a little bit notched. You can kind of see it clicking a little bit there as I'm turning it. Those are the gears to make up for the lack of torque from the very small motor that is in the T150. Since it doesn't have the leverage to make a lot of torque, it's got to use gearing and a little belt drive in there to do that work for it. The paddles on the wheel are metal, and they do make a click when you pull them back. When it was new, they made a very nice, crisp feel to that click. As it's gotten older, it's gotten a little less crisp, as the plastic pieces that hold the springs in place in there have split into 3 pieces. I have epoxied them back together. It worked before I epoxied them back together. They have since broken, and they still work. So they're still working. They're just not quite as crisp as they used to be. What you'll see here now is the wheel calibrating itself. So when you plug it into the PlayStation, it will spin, or when you plug it in the computer, it will spin and it'll calibrate so it knows where the center point is. If you take this wheel and you're drifting, or you're off-road racing, or you just whip the wheel real fast and it makes a crunchy, clicky noise, you'll actually hear it happen later on in one of my later clips. Do not try to, and you notice it's off-center, don't try to manhandle it back center and make it click again the other way. Just unplug it and plug it back in. It will go through the cycle. It will recenter it, and everything will be fine. So I've heard of people stripping their gears because they try to do that. Don't do that. If you make it skip a gear, just stop what you're doing, lose the race, whatever, unplug your wheel, plug it back in, and you won't break it. Here you see the PS3, PS4 switch. If you're using a PS3, you stick it on PS3. If you're using a PS4, you put it on PS4. You switch it over before you plug it in. So if you're using the PS4, put it to PS4, then plug it into your PS4. The PS3 function works on a computer. So you switch it to PS3, plug in your computer. Your wheel control panel that you download from Thrustmaster will control the wheel for your computer. You don't have to do anything before you plug it back into the PS4. You just unplug it, switch it to PS4, plug it in your PS4. It will recalibrate to center, and it will work just fine. Vice versa for plugging it back into the computer. You don't have to do anything crazy to make it work. Currently, there's only one game I play on PC, and that is Wreckfest. And you can use the wheel for Wreckfest on PC. It does have force feedback. You can feel the curbs. You can feel when you hit people. You can feel when the car is sliding or when it's oversteering. I just don't like to use the wheel for Wreckfest because personally, I like to see when people are about to demolish me. So it's easier to see that from chase cam. But the problem is, I can't drive the wheel on chase cam with any game. So I have difficulty in Wreckfest trying to figure out how to drive on the chase cam with this wheel. But it works fine for the game. It took me about an hour and a half, maybe about 2 hours to figure the settings out and finally get them about nailed down. Not perfect because, like I said, I don't drive on it with the wheel. So I'll put my settings in there. You can fine tune them from there, and I think you'll be happy with the wheel with a game like Wreckfest. But mainly I use it for the PS4. So let's look at the PS4 games that I've used the T150 with. The game on the PlayStation 4 that I spend the most time on with the T150 is Gran Turismo Sport. And I do like the feedback that Gran Turismo Sport provides to me on the T150. It is not amazing, it's not super strong, but I can sense the curbs, I can feel the tires slipping, I can feel the rear end come around. And I set my settings on my T150 at a feedback torque of 1 and a sensitivity of 1. That's light. The wheel is going to feel light, but it has to feel light in order to get the fidelity that I need to know what's going on with the car in the game. And by fidelity, I mean you are feeling the bumps. You are feeling the tires break free. If you go into a corner too hot and you turn too hard and it starts just plowing forward, you should feel that in your wheel. And if you set the force feedback on the T150 too high, all of the torque from that T150 will be dedicated to just strength in the wheel. In other words, making it hard for you to turn. There's not enough power there to provide the minute details you need to feel when you hit a curb at those high torque settings. So while it's the drawback of having a light wheel, you do get the fidelity that you need in this game. It's the same way in Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa. This is where the T150 really shines. Now, I'm not sure if it's the technology of the day was, maximized for smaller motors in earlier generation wheels or what, but this game works amazingly well with the T150. You can feel the curbing, you can feel the tires losing grip, almost bending under the pressure as you turn the wheel. You can feel the weight of the car really well. You can feel the rear end coming around. It's really a good game for the T150. Its cousin, Assetto Corsa Competition, not so much. Assetto Corsa Competition with the T150 leaves a bit to be desired. Now, that's not to say you can't race it with the T150. You absolutely can. You can feel the weight of the car, which is it's pretty nice. You can definitely feel the bumps on the track. You can definitely feel it when you hit those big sausage curbs. But what it's really hard for me to dial in with my wheel, and I haven't been able to do it, is the feeling when the front tires break free. So, if you're coming into a corner too hot and you're understeering, that's what I want to know, because that's what I have to adjust from. So I want to adjust from an understeer situation more into an oversteer situation. And to be able to do that and increase my lap times, I really need to feel those front tires, and I cannot seem to dial that in for the T150 on Assetto Corsa Competition. So it makes it difficult to improve upon your lap times in ACC. But that doesn't mean you can't play it. I prefer not to, because I guess I'm just disappointed. Overall, like I said, you can play ACC with the T150. You can play all of these racing games with the T150. It lacks the ability to shine with some of these games. And I guess that's what I was trying to show you there, is that you want to play an amazing game like ACC, but the T150 really takes the enjoyment away from you in a game like that. Now, I've heard the G29 works well on ACC, so if that's a game you really want to play, I would suggest getting the G29 over the T150, because it's able to play that game better, if that's really one of the ones on your list that you want to play. So that is my review. Just some basic games that sim racing games that folks tend to play. Now, I've also played Dirt on this game. Works well with Dirt. I'm sure it works well with many other games also. So what are my overall ratings for the T150? Well, for durability, I'd probably have to give it a C-. For the price, $200, it's lasted 2,000 hours. I guess that's reasonable. So I would say it's average, about the same as a G29, or I don't know what other similar wheels there are out there. So like I said, a C-. As far as force feedback, the feeling you get with the wheel, for the price, I'm gonna have to give it a B. And I say a B because for this price range, I think it does a fairly good job of letting you experience some force feedback at an entry level. For the number of games that you can play on the T150, I'm also going to have to give that a B, as the only game I've really experienced that you just were disappointed was ACC. So Granted, that may be a big drawback for some of y'all, so that may drop it down to a D or even an F. But for me, it's a B. I can wait till I get a better wheel before I play ACC. I'm not too concerned with it. Overall value, I have to give it a B-, I would think. Since there are many titles you can play, it does have pedals. They're not the greatest. G29's pedals are better. The force feedback is there, but it's not there, and it's for every game, and it's lacking that torque that you really need to get the fidelity that you're looking for. So in the end, the T150 is a good starter wheel, and that's how you should treat it. If you have $200 to spend on a wheel and you want to get into sim racing, you want to see what it's like on a wheel, but you're not sure if you want to just really dive in deep, yes, I think a T150 is worth the money. If you've been doing sim racing, you know it's something you love and have a passion for, I'd say save up some more money, get a better wheel, maybe a Fanatec or a T300 or something like that. So that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like and or subscribe. Come back and check out some more videos. Until then, for myself, Geauxgreddy, y'all have a great evening. DJcLean, take us out of here.